we're going to choose one of our boards to work with to create using the blend tool, creating repeating lines. So I've chosen my zigzag grid. So to get us started, I made a copy of my zigzag layer. So I have a second copy that I'm not using. So I have a backup. So always make a copy of the layer so you can bring that in later if you want to bring your grid into your elements later on, you have a copy of it. So I made a copy, I locked it and I turned it off, and I'm now working on just one grid. So I'm going to start by selecting this zigzag line that I created in my grid. I'm going to select that line. And I'm going to create a new layer, Command L. And I'm going to name this zigzag blend. Oops. Zigzag blend. Okay. So sorry, I have it on there. I have this layer. Undo. I'm going to Command C, copy, and I'm going to select my zigzag blend layer and Command F. So I put it right on top. Oh, it didn't go onto my layer. I'm going to slide it up to my zigzag blend layer. Okay, so now if I turn off my zigzag layer, you can see that guy. Oh, how is that guy in there too? That's weird. I don't know where these two came from. Oh, why are those two on a different layer? That is super weird. Hold on a minute. Let me get those on the right layer. There it is. Okay. Then I'm going to grab my second line, which I'm going to do just the next one in the grid. Okay. Again, I'm going to make a copy, Command F, and then I'm going to move it up to the new zigzag blend layer. So now I'm going to just shut off my grid, and now I have just these two lines, the zigzag blend layer. So here's my lines by themselves without the grid. So I'm going to select this first group of lines, and you want to basically make this a path that's going to be, I don't know if it'll, I'm just thinking about this out loud. I'm not sure if it'll work if they're not a path, but let's just try it. I'm not sure. We'll test this. I'm going to grab both lines. I'm going to go Object, Blend. Now I'm going to do some blend options before I do anything. I'm going to go Blend Options, and I'm going to choose a specified steps. So how many steps of lines? In other words, how many lines do I want between these two lines? I can do, let's say 50. I can also choose if I want to have a color or distance, but I'm going to go with steps. I'm going to go 50 steps. I'm going to say okay, and then I have to go back to Object, Blend, Make, and that's what it's going to do. And the reason it's doing this is because they're separate lines. They're not all a single path. So when you use separate lines, you can get this kind of crazy op art almost look because it's making blends between each individual sets of lines. This isn't what I wanted, so I'm going to undo it. So I can do a couple things. I can say, one of the first things I'm going to do is go into the connection points of these two separate lines, and I can select them both and hit Command J to join. It says expand, but I want to make sure that they joined them. Yeah, it did. Okay. So at each connection point, I select both the connections, Command J, select Command J, select Command J. Now, if I drew this with a pen tool, they would already be connected, and you might do that in another, in one of your designs, Command J. You might have done that. You might have used the pen tool. I use the line segment tool. So these are all separate line segments. Command J, Command J, Command J, oop, cancel. Command J, Command J. So I'm joining them all. And the reason I'm joining them is because it's going to give me a different effect with the blend tool. So now let's look at what happens when I select both of these. When I go Object, Blend, Make. Okay, something is wrong with my join here, but here's where it's working correctly. They're all aligning, following the lines, but something is going wrong and I got to figure out what it is. So what I'm going to do is zoom in closer and figure out what is happening. Are these not joined properly? Did these not join? No, that's joined. That's joined, okay. Let's try to, oh, I feel like something's not working correctly. Here's something that's a little wonky. Here, these two weren't right on top of each other, so it added an extra point. I'm going to use the pen tool and delete one of those points. Okay, there we go. There we go. Let's see now. Object, blend, make. Why is it not fulfilling our design? What is making it stop? This is perplexing me. I haven't had this happen. Oh, I know why. I have a fill. That's what's happening. I have a fill. I'm like, what is going on? I had a fill. I'm like, what is going on? It's because I had a fill and I wasn't just using a stroke. So there you have it. If you have a fill, you're not going to see the stroke. And we're looking at just a stroke. So there, that's what it would look like with 50 lines blended between, and it just kind of follows the flow of the line. And as my zigzag gets tighter, you can see the lines get darker. It almost feels like a gradation, and it looks very dimensional. So because I wanted the lines following the zigzag, I had to have those lines connected. Remember, when I had the lines not connected, it's going to give us, so when I have, like, use the line segment tool, when I have the lines that are not connected, like this, and I create two designs here, we go Object, Blend, Make, you can see they are kind of almost spiraling, right? Because they are coming out from the top and going to the bottom. Another way you can look at it to not have it spiral, just having just these two lines working together. So if I go these two lines, Object, see what that looks like. So that gives us this kind of, which can be very interesting in our designs, right? So you can make a design like this. Another one we can look at using the blend tool and just the line tools. Let's say I have a line segment here and a line segment here. And I'm going to move this guy out of the way. I have these two line segments, Object, Blend, Make. Oh, I don't think I had them curved enough. Hold on, sorry. Curve, curve. Actually, this one is not curved. I'm going to make it I'm going to make them each at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to be a little bit more mathematical here. 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle. There we go. Select them both, object, blend, make, twist. I think I did them at different directions. You have to make your lines at the same direction. Maybe it has to be down, down. Select both, object, blend. Now, what am I forgetting? I'm forgetting a step here. Hold on a minute. I want to show you an arch. So for example, if we have a circle, actually not like that, a circle, and undo, and a circle coming from the center, like that. And we decide slice on a 40. Undo. Cancel. I want to slice this on a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to create another slice on a 45-degree angle. Okay. I'm going to go into Pathfinder. Outline. Outline. Got to put a stroke on it so we can see it. Oh, I picked a color. I guess I didn't. There we go. So there's two different ways we can do this. And one is I'm going to make a copy of this, do this two different ways. One is take these two lines and blend them between, right, which is making the lines follow the arch. And then the other way I wanted to try this is having these two lines connect, object, blend, make. Now they're supposed to go on the arch. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong here. Hold on a minute. I feel like I need to, oh, I know what I need to do differently. It's the option on blend. I forgot. So when I go to blend, I need to go to the options. And I got to choose align to path. And then say, okay. And then go object, blend, make. Wait a minute, that didn't work. Blend options. Let me look at my notes to see what I'm forgetting. I feel like I'm having a moment. Stroke alignment is sent to center. Other thing I want to make sure I show you on this is the stroke alignment. I'll come back to that in a minute. Let me try distance. Maybe it's 100. I'm having a moment. I'm not remembering how to make it go with the arc. That's when you can choose a centering something. Object, blend options. What I'm trying to do is make the same arc, but having the lines go vertical. Maybe I have to do the middle one first. I'm trying to remember how I did that. Blend options, specify distance. Checked. That's not quite right either. I'm gonna have to come back to it. I'm having a total moment of not remembering how to do that. So I will figure that out again. Trying to think, unless any of you know and you want to share, I'm always happy. I know you all said you're very comfortable. A few of you were comfortable with the blend tool. Do you know what I'm saying? Those of you who are blend tool users. I want to create this same arc, only having the lines not follow the arc, but be vertical like this guy up here. So you see how I have these lines coming out vertically from these two lines. I want these two lines to create the arc vertically, the lines vertically. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to think what I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting one step on it, but I cannot remember.
Can you go?
I will come back to it. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, can you go back to your blend options?
Yeah. I think it's still specified steps.
Yeah,
but I'm forgetting one element and I can't think of what it is. It'll come to me, but I'm totally having a brain fog on how to remember how to do that. But I will come back to it. I will figure it out and come back to it with you guys. But basically, the idea is when you're doing these, this is adding a texture, another element to your design. So then what you can do is lay any of these designs over. So you always want to make a layer, and these are kind of layering elements you're putting. Remember I told you your grid is your foundation. So you're starting off with this foundation, and then you're going to be layering these elements on top of that grid foundation. So once you have the design where you want it, so right now you can see it's all sitting here as a unit. You have to go up here to go to Object, Blend, Expand to turn them into actual lines. And then once they're lines, you can do a lot of things with them. So for example, let's just go into this guy with our strokes. I'm going to bring up the stroke palette and see, I can now change the width of my lines, right? Because they're now lines. I can also change the cap, giving them a rounded edge cap. I can, create dashed lines if I wanted, and I could play with the, the dash. There's a lot of things you can do. See, now here's a dashed line. So there's a lot of things you can do once you've created this even further to add some differences, right? You can also, let me show the options of stroke. We can also play with the profile, right? So I'm going to take the dash off. Hold on, take the dash line off. So I can play with this profile. So I can go in here and grab some of these profiles, undo. So you can get these fun, right? So once you create any of these, you can like continue that the design isn't necessarily over. There's a lot of different things you can play with, bringing you into, you know, different elements. You don't have to use, you know, uniform design and bringing other interesting elements to them. And of course, when we get into color, you can, of course, you know, make these any color you want. So make sure when you're building your designs, you're building them on layers above. So like I've created a new layer where I'm putting these elements on. So I'm going to go with this guy. And there we go. Yeah, it's just a redraw. So there's my design. And because they're all right now separate individual lines, I'm going to take the whole group of them and Command G and group them. So now they're in a group. I can move them around without losing anybody. Okay. Same thing with this guy. We have this guy here. It's all one thing. I'm going to go to Object, Blend, Expand. Okay, now there's separate items. Of course, I can make them any color I want. I can, like, for example, let's say I wanted to add, you know, arrowheads on the bottom of these. Not that I would, but I could. You know. So none is probably where you're going to be. But again, you can play with the line weight. You can play with, you know, how thin or heavy it gets, right? And see how that affects things. So there's some, you know, there's a lot of things that you can keep developing beyond. And then again, once I have it the way I want it, I can select it all and group it so that I have it contained. Same with this guy here. This guy here, I can, did I already expand this? I can't remember. I don't think I did. Object, Blend, Expand. There it is. Now they're all lines. Bring it down. Right, so it's a little thinner. And I can make it whatever color from my design here that I want to make it. And group it so they're all together. So now when I go into my layers, okay, I can have my zigzag pattern in here, right? And this guy doesn't really belong here, but let's say this was, you know, designed as one of, I can kind of play with like that. This was one of these. Let's just assume that this was the right design. It's not, but you get the idea. And you know, you can kind of do different things with it into your design and lay your grid back over it. Okay, so those are some things to look at with the blend tool. And one more thing. Oh, there's one more thing I want to share with you on the blend tool that I forgot, so I'm going to take that off. One last thing is the direction of your lines can affect whether it's twisting or not. So let's say I'm going to use the arc tool and create a design that is going from left to right. And then I'm going to create a design that's going from right to left. Use my X so I can kind of Actually, I'm going to take it back, undo. I'm going to make the second line not arced, but a line segment. So it's just like this. Okay. And so then I'm going to select these two guys here and go object, blend, make. Oh, I don't have enough. Object, blend, options. I'm going to say steps and say, okay. Object, or is it blend, make? Hold on a minute. I think I don't have this at the right angle. This is not what I wanted to do. I'm going to rotate my angle. Align these two. I'm going to make these two aligned vertically. Okay. Now I'm going to select them both. Object, blend, make. So this idea of, round to straight is a way we can do it. And then I think if I revert, let me pull this aside. Oops, let's move this guy to the side. And this time I'm going to use the pen tool and draw a line from here to here. Curved. And then using the pen tool, I'm going to draw a line from here to here. Oh, undo. Here, shift to here. Grab them both, align them. Object, blend, make. Why is it not working? It's supposed to rotate. Let me rotate my line and see if that works. I'm trying to make it spiral, but it's not working. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong. Make.
If you grab just one of the anchor points on like one of the sides, then you should be able to make it spiral.
Oh, you mean after I make it?
Yeah, it's easier to do it that way.
I see what you're saying. Let's make it and try that. Okay. So we've made it. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. I was thinking I could do it before, but you're right. I guess I think I have to make it first and then spiral it. So yeah, this idea of before we expand it, you can do these kinds of edits and changes. Thank you, Amber. Yeah, you're right. This is a way to explore that. All right. And then of course you've seen where you can do shapes too. So you can say a circle to, for example, a square. And select the two, align them. So lots of ways you can play with the blend tool. Experiment, try different blends between opposite sides of shapes, adjacent shapes, along spines of elements. These are basically the idea to add some interesting textures and elements to your design shapes that you're building. So it's just like another way to add elements of design, design elements into your illustration. So these are all different ways to add some more texture. Wrong thing.